Guys, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Franchise Advisory Board, where we bring in experts from around the franchise community to give you actionable advice to help you build a memorable and strong, thriving franchise brand. I've got with me today a friend of mine, Ahson Kazi. And you guys, you probably already know Ahson. He's the Vice President of Partnership and Growth over at Lumin.ai. And if you don't know who Lumin.ai is, you've been kind of under a rock, but they were the kind of first to market in franchising with AI-enabled SMS follow-up. They integrate with a bunch of platforms, including ClientTether, and but they've been the kind of thought leaders in the space. Now AI is super popular. When they came into the industry, it was just them. They were the only people that did this stuff. So one of the things I want you guys to know about Lumen and about Ahson and why I've got him here. Not only were they first in franchising, they actually built their own AI, conversational AI module. They're not using like generic LLMs. They've been building this and refining this tool for 7 years now. So when we talk about who are experts in the topic we're going to talk about today, which is how do you balance human and AI automations to optimize franchise system growth? I don't know anybody who's more versed in this and with more experience in the industry actually than Hassan and his team and Tom. So Hassan's also been around. He's been doing business development and growth for 20 years. So Hassan, I'm super glad you're here. Welcome to the show. And tell us, before I bungle it too much, tell us a little bit more about you and tell us about Lumen. And then we're going to dive right into the topic at hand.
Thank you, Dave, for the warm welcome. And you used the word expert twice. So I would consider myself as a student. But thank you for for that warm welcome and intro. So yeah, Ahsan Kazi, I've been around the block, especially in and around the CRM space for last 2 decades. I don't date myself, all the gray that you see. Long enough to watch a lot of game-changing technologies come and go. Every few years, there's a new buzzword that's supposed to change everything. Some do, most don't, but hey, life goes on, right? What we've learned over the years is technology works best when it helps people do what they already do well. And this is where Lumen AI comes in.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at AI personally. So it's not about replacing people or, anything like that. It's just making them do more with the little time we all have, right? But before we get started, as the Canadian on today's podcast, I should probably clarify that Canada is still a country, not a 51st state.
Oh,
We'd
okay.
love to visit. We would love everyone to visit this summer. You'll just need your passport.
Well, you guys also are hosting some World Cup games
Yes,
coming up this
sir.
month. Did you get any tickets?
I wish I could get tickets like everyone, but the Torontonians are getting tickets because it's just so hard to get them. I
Yeah.
heard some friends have tickets and I'm trying to see if they have extra or anything, but I personally tried and gave up. Other than that, just you can't travel downtown Toronto or anywhere like that. It's just chaos right now.
Oh,
But
yeah.
hey, it's all good. People are having fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to highlights.
I love that. Well, it's funny. I know Dan Stewart, he used to be over at Pillar to Post, and Scott Abbott both got tickets because they can no longer attend our conference because they have
Nice.
and that's a very good excuse. We said that was just fine. So anyway, give them a call. Maybe they can help you out. Uh,
Yeah, no, I think one of my daughters, her friend's dad arranged them 2 tickets. I don't know the details of the dates and all, but I think they would go and
that's
rather than,
incredible.
I'm happy that they can experience it. Yeah.
That's incredible. What a good experience. Well, okay, before we get derailed on FIFA, let's talk about this topic. And so transactions, right? When people decide to transact, it's all because they trust an entity enough to exchange value, right? I always say trust is the commodity of transactions. And so what we want to talk about today is how do you balance out AI versus humans so that you develop trust, you don't erode that foundation. And you said something a minute ago that I'm going to slightly disagree with, but in a good way. You said AI should be used to help do things that humans do well. Sometimes it's actually the things that humans don't do well that AI does the best at, in my opinion, right? So what I mean by that, Hassan, is like in the sales flow, let's say lead follow-up. I'm on a call. I can't multitask. I'm in a call with you on a Zoom. We're recording a podcast. I get a text that comes in. It's going to sit and get ice cold for 40 minutes while we finish this podcast. Well, so I'm not the best at multitasking. And the AIs are. They are always on, never stop. And so that's where I do feel like I think you'll agree with me, even though I'm disagreeing with some words you said. I think you meant this. We have an opportunity to use AI to supplement humans where human behavior usually falters or is not consistent. That's where I find personally AI crushes it. And that can also build trust. If people are interacting with a well-designed, well implemented tool that can leverage AI to engage. So that's the only thing I'll say as a preamble. And I'd love your thoughts, if you don't mind, Ahson, as our guest. Where are you seeing AI help to develop and expand trust within the sales funnels across franchising?
Right, thank you. So yeah, I think trust is the key word here. I don't think anybody buys a franchise because a bot or an email convinced them. People still buy from people. People still build trust with people. People still want guidance from people. The role of AI, in my opinion, is to handle the repetitive tasks, things that, as you said, I'm not good at this and can do this, or I may be good at this, but I get tired of doing this 50 times a day. Okay. So
Mhm.
following up, answering common questions, scheduling appointments, re-engaging dormant prospects, all these repetitive things that are important. Don't take me wrong, but you get tired of doing them and you lose the energy, right?
Right.
So basically, AI creates efficiency. Coming back to trust, people are the one creating trust. So it's not AI creating trust. AI is enabling, supporting us as people to create that trust.
Yeah. And I'll attack one thing onto that as well. I think when when well, things that help build trust are consistency and efficiency. And so where humans might falter in those two areas, that's not what humans are best at. They're not great at efficiency, they're not great at consistency, but they are great at having deep conversations and connectivity. Bots aren't good at that. But bots can support humans by creating consistency and efficiency by responding to things and handling minutia. And that way we free up the human bandwidth to dive deeper into these connectivity conversations. I feel like it's a facilitator. Like I think we're agreeing, but just saying different words here. That builds trust. If I'm like right now, I'm in the midst of reaching out to a bunch of plumbers because we have this unexpected remodel project in our home. Long story, but I keep reaching out to some of my friends who are plumbers, and they're like inconsistent and they're a little flaky. And to be really frank, that's eroding our trust a little bit. So enough to the point that I just called three people I don't even know today, and they all booked appointments with me, and I'm going to get those estimates done in the next 48 hours. That so AI, but if they had AI helping them out, they would have had me on a schedule, and I would have been in my house, and it would have happened a day or two ago, and I never would have called those other three. So I think those are examples of where I see AI can help establish trust because it can handle the minutia and be consistent and efficient. And sometimes humans struggle with that.
Absolutely.
But what are your
Absolutely.
thoughts on that, Hassan? How would you elaborate on that?
I think one more thing I can expand on that is first of all, I agree with you totally. Um, the the intent, when you want to get something, you want to schedule an appointment, or there's a need, or there's something like that. Whatever that is, I consider that as an intent, and that has a shelf life. So now going back to our franchising world, candidates don't wake up one day and randomly buy a franchise. There's the journey. AI is helping in different areas of that journey. For example, research. I don't know if I should open up a pizza joint or a burger joint, right? And then comes comparison, and then comes validation. And it is right after discovery when you actually engage.
Right.
And that is, hey, I had a bad day at work. I want to be my own boss and I want to submit an inquiry to a number of brands.
Hmm.
So it's it's the basically the shelf life that I was talking about, right? who starts that conversation? Your example of I was looking for different home improvement, home services companies, and I wish they could just reach out to me. I don't have to do anything. But you've done some homework. You already have certain expectations. So
Mhm.
it's who, it's not the speed to lead. I'm trying to simplify this that someone sent you a text, all of them sent you a text message saying, "Hey, Dave, we're available." No, who engaged with you? Who gave you what you were expecting? I think that's where this is going, that the brand that starts the conversation in that model earns the next step. And then going back to our previous comment, trust.
I'm with you on that one. I feel like, well, I don't think I want to add to that. I think it's a solid point in and of itself. It's and as long as the AI that we're using and leveraging is helping us to establish the trust, to reinforce that we're a credible organization, that we've got valid information. I think that you can actually deploy it across multiple stages. That's kind of I'll be honest, my brain was going down a rabbit hole there about as you were talking. AI well deployed can establish credibility and enhance a consumer experience. And if we're enhancing their consumer experience, then we're building credibility and trust with our brand before they might even try to start building trust with the human. And that's Google called this the zero moment of truth years ago. And I'm sure you've heard about that. You and I have been around the block a little bit, but the whole concept, for those who aren't familiar with ZMOT or ZMOT or zero moment of truth, is that consumers are doing so much research and learning so much about us, they're actually establishing a bit of a connection with the brand first. And they're determining, is the brand credible? Is the brand valid? Is there enough information to make a good decision? Can they meet my needs? All this stuff. Consumers have all that figured out before. Now AI is actually an AEO, GEO is accelerating that process. The scary thing to me is that consumers are blindly trusting everything that comes out of these AI searches. Um, so be prepared. But there are different milestones where a consumer now might land on my web page. And can I deploy an AI bot on the site that can now enhance that experience and help them? Hey, what do you need to know? How can I answer your questions? And you can start to establish deeper trust with the brand, which then leads the consumer to say, okay, now I want to engage with the humans. But there's this whole wall that exists between the initial discovery phase that the candidates are in before they ever will talk to a human. And I still think we can deploy AI. We can get involved in things that will enhance our AEO so that the LLMs are pointing people toward our brands. That's leveraging AI to create trust. And then there's the once they land on my page and they're trying to do their own discovery, how can I enhance that experience using AI? That can enhance trust and establish brand rapport. But then by the time they talk to my humans, man, these guys are ready and they've got their questions answered. How have you seen people use that? Like we're talking top of marketing funnel, right? Before we even get into the sales funnel. How have you seen people leveraging AI for that?
Right. So I think the future isn't more automation. The future, as you said, is better experiences. So
Hmm.
candidates don't compare you against other brands if they are doing the research. They compare you against every great customer experience that they've had outside of, like all over, right? You talk about Amazon, Uber, Netflix, your doctor, your bank, whatever, right? That's what the kind of expectations people have these days, right? So people expect responsiveness, right? People expect communication.
Hmm.
And this is again going back to brands that are successful in this are respecting
Hmm.
that change that's coming up with AI, SEO, GEO, and all the new ways to do research. Is people have certain expectations, and you want to accommodate that by changing your model of how you engage, how you talk, how you respond, all kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, and
And
as
this
a guy
goes
who,
beyond just one technology. It's like the sets of technology that you invest in, you have to keep the customer, not customer, but experience in general in mind.
yeah, I love that. CX is kind of the king here. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about it in this way. So I'm glad you said it that way, especially being a guy that's all about, hey, speed to lead, right? Like there is a certain value to that, but that is not, at some point, that doesn't become a differentiator anymore. I mean, sadly, in this industry, it's still quite a differentiator. But as you and I both know, but that's not the ultimate thing that will get a consumer to start to seriously consider buying a franchise. Or if it's a consumer service, buying a service, a plumber or a roofer or windows or whatever. So I love the way you frame that. Let's talk a little bit about in this customer experience bubble, this customer journey, there are a ton of places where brands fail. They struggle, where they don't provide the right customer experience. Now let's break it down to, we talked just a little bit about pre-funnel, like top of marketing funnel, but once somebody fills out a form, where are you seeing us on, in the hundreds of brands you've worked with and consulted with, where are you seeing the struggle that breaks the consumer experience and erodes trust in the buying process?
Right. So one thing I want to clarify in again, I'm not gonna generalize this, but in most cases, most brands, our friends, don't have a lead problem.
Mhm.
Everybody talks about lead generation and oh my God, is the call and sure, but the few people talk about lead management. This is where CRM comes in, other sales tools and other things come in. We all spend enormous amount of time and money generating candidates. Then somebody fills out a form, and then that's where the real challenge begins. The response times vary, follow up varies, process is not consistent. So biggest leak happens is after the form is filled and lead is generated, right? So this is,
Yeah.
I hope that answers the question, but that's where I'm going with this. That
Mhm.
you have to realize where the challenge is, because sometimes the perception is the challenge is the source of the lead and the generation of the lead and all that. I think it's after that. It's my opinion and my experience.
Can I just share my empirical opinion about that? Since we get to see all the data, and I bet you, and I'm not trying to exaggerate here, probably 19 out of 20 times. I bet it's 95% of the time when I have a brand tell me, "Oh, we've got a lead quality issue. We need to talk to our marketing firm." It's not a lead issue. It's actually a sales follow-up problem. And once we dig in deep into the process and determine, oh, you know what's actually happening here? Your team had enough resources to follow up on leads pre-marketing partner. Marketing partner steps in and doubled your lead volume. They didn't double their humans, and they don't have the technology in place to automate this. So they are now following up with, half as well as they used to because they just doubled their lead flow. That's almost always the case. So I'm glad you brought it up. Not a
Yeah,
lead
just
volume issue, lead
one thing
management.
to add, Dave, there is the most expensive lead is the one you already paid for, but never properly followed up with. Just to end that, the thought that we were talking about earlier. See, think about the amount of time and energy and money that goes beyond that, right? To support that model, and then the result is impacted by how you follow up.
Yeah. Yeah. Because how you follow up is how you continue to establish or maintain or support this experience that builds or erodes trust, depending on how you engage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So let's break that down a little bit though. So obviously, lead follow-up is important, but how can we balance now, going back to the topic, how do we balance the humans and the automations when we're at this initial point of conversion? Because that's a critical moment. We have a little window, 3 to 5 minutes to really have an impactful engagement, or else we often miss the opportunity. It's a small window of time. So what are your recommendations? How do brands optimize the conversion and balance the humans and the AI?
Yeah. So I think the balance is where you understand where does AI stop and where do human touch and human involvement start. And there's overlap in during that process. Okay. So I think the first thing is understanding the role of each, how they coexist. And this is going to, I'm going to add something to it, slightly going off topic, is the concept of omni-channel. We live and breathe in the texting space, but is that the only way you want to communicate? You don't want to be respectful to your prospect and say, hey, Mr. Prospect, call me, email me, drive over to my office, or I'll text you my information and you can connect through that.
Mhm.
Open that all up. And once you realize where does one stop and where the second thing starts, I think that's one point. Other thing I want to quickly mention here is the role the system of record plays is your platform.
Yeah.
It's not a graveyard. It's not where you just dump stuff that is new or old. No, no, no. If it's up to date, if it is connected to the right technology, if it is doing the right coordination, if it's speaking,
Mhm.
to the person, to the sales tool, to the scheduling tool, to the calendar, all that. I think, I hope that is the other part of that answer is that's where
Mhm.
you would be more efficient, in short. There's no there's no leaks. There's no where things like fell in the crack. And I don't know that specific lead source on that specific campaign, what to do with that. No, it's all consistent. We do this with everything. That's our process.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the answer lies.
I love that. And one thing I'll add to that too is obviously speaking from a biased perspective, but also just seeing the data. If you're using a consistent system of record with any automations and the humans are interacting in the same system, one, everybody's on the same page. If you've got an AI tool that's out that's independently doing its own thing and then sometimes putting data into the system, or so let's say it's just scheduling appointments, but you have no idea what's being said. That's I know salespeople that are incredibly uncomfortable with that. But if you've got a system like that, a system of record that seamlessly integrates with these tools, like a Lumen, right? Then and the conversations are visible, so the sales team can say, "Ooh, that's I can see what the conversation had. I can see that the candidate was interested in X, Y, Z. I'm prepared for my call. I just don't have a blind call on my calendar with So I agree. And take a step back from that. Now, meta level, I can also see. I can see the impact. Let's say I deploy a tool, an AI tool, to augment my sales team, to support my SDR, so he or she can stay on top of the lead flow. Then I can also see if it's in a consistent system of record. Oh, I have a blip. I have a smiley face trend. I'm going up and to the right. That's what I want to see. And if you don't have a proper system of record that ties in properly with these AI tools, then you won't be able to visualize what's happening. So you can't measure. And anything you do, it doesn't matter if it's AI or not, you need to be able to measure what's the impact. Am I getting ROI? Is it doubling my conversion rate? Or is it enhancing it by 5%, but I'm overpaying for that service, so it's not really getting me ROI? All of those things should be visible within your system of record.
Absolutely. You can't manage a pipeline that you can't see. Marketing sees one thing, sales sees another thing, operations another, leadership. So, if the appointment is booked, everyone should see it. If something happens or anything moves, everyone should have the same view. I think that's where this is. Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
I totally agree. Yeah, that way AI and humans are on the same page too. And the cool part is if you do it well, the AI can actually can engage with the historical records of what the humans have been saying. And then if the AI is engaging to follow up at a certain stage, it has the context of what the humans are saying to the humans. Then it really becomes it's almost eerie how human-like it can become if it's got the ability to see in the system of record all the other texts and all the other emails and the Zoom meeting summary notes or whatever that case may be. So yeah, the
Yep.
tighter that integration can be, I think the more supportive the automation can be to help the humans, like you talked about before, consistency and efficiency. It can really help to close the loop so that it's enabling trust. It's enabling this journey to be better for the candidate.
Absolutely. And at the same time, make it convenient and easy to use for the teams. So it's not about having a sexy CRM with lots of features and gadgets and tools. No, no, it's the one your team actually uses. It's relevant to their day to day, right?
Yeah, well, you and I were speaking off camera about a few things, but there are plenty of people that they promise the moon. They have every feature under the sun. Doesn't matter because if they're a pain in the butt to integrate, they don't really talk to each other properly. No one's going to touch them because they're so clunky. Then it doesn't matter. And I don't take any offense to the fact that you said that
Yeah,
because it's true. Frankly, even people using our system, if they're not engaging with it or using it, then it's not doing them any good. Honestly,
right.
yeah.
So I'm going to share a personal story since this is being recorded, so I'm not going to name drop. This is partially relevant, again, related to CRM. So, like I said, 2 decades in CRM. About 20 or so years ago, I worked with one of the largest technology vendor on the planet,
Hmm.
selling CRM through partners.
Good.
And that's not the CRM I used to forecast my deals. And I would say, hope to God nobody's going to ask me, is that what you use? How's your experience? Because your point, what they sold was really nice and sexy and strong and modern platform. But what I used was something that was aligned with what I need and tailored to my specific, use case. So without talking too much about that, uh, this is how the world works. It's this stuff on the surface and the stuff that you actually need is sometimes different.
Well, you know what's funny about that? Two funny anecdotes. HubSpot used to use Salesforce. Um, and I think eventually they're like, wait, we can build our own. And they started building out their own CRM. And it's good. You know, it's an okay CRM. But ClientTether is also the only CRM in the franchise industry that uses its own CRM to sell. And that kills me. Like I every day I think about that. I'm like, that's ridiculous. How do you go out with confidence selling your own CRM if you can't even use it to sell with? I don't know. It kills me. So I
Absolutely.
think that's a funny position you're in, but yeah, super awkward, right?
So I was trying to avoid that to bring that up. I thought it may be a bit controversial, but you brought it. So I'm just saying I would encourage my franchisor friends that next time you're looking at options, just ask them, "Oh, good. How's your experience using it?" And you'll find out
Yeah.
that
No,
how a technology or a tool works.
valid. Because if you're not eating your own dog food, then how can you honestly stand on your own two legs and say this is the best in the world, buy this? So that just feels like, I don't know.
Or feel the pain.
Yeah. We digress though. So back on track. So human experience, AI, balancing that to encourage trust, build a client experience that's memorable and helps you stand out from the competitors. Now, the humans, though, you mentioned this, the humans are a really critical part of the process. And the deeper in the funnel you get, let's talk about frandev for a minute, but any sales process, frandev, unit, selling windows, helping people get awarded a franchise. Ultimately, they're very similar, just not as regulated on maybe the window sales. The deeper you get into the customer experience and journey, the less generic the experiences are, right? We're not just trying to set an appointment. That's universal. We're trying to answer questions about FDDs and other things. How do you, Ahson, find that people, as they get deeper into that sales funnel, can continue to leverage AI to support the human experience and continue to develop the trust of this relationship that's growing?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of, I would say it's a noisy space to be in these days when we talk about AI and leveraging AI.
Mhm.
Okay. One has to be, I mean, I was at the New England Franchise Conference speaking there, and someone asked a question. So where do I start? I'm like, that's such a I don't know, right? What problem are you trying to solve, right? So coming back to our space, I think one has to understand where the gaps are
Mhm.
in human experiences. To interview your candidates, people who you've had success with. You recently signed with. What was the best part of this engagement? What was the worst part of the engagement? Be open about it, get the feedback and then try to fill those gaps with, okay, technology can do this. Oh no, maybe I can be better at communication and be more involved in this process or whatever that may be. So, I mean, I can say, yeah, sure, use AI everywhere. No, I think take a step back and understand where the gaps are.
Mhm.
I would answer it that way versus just saying AI is a generic answer to everything.
Because it's not. I mean,
It's
well,
not. It's
but it
not.
can be. So can I riff on that for a minute? 'Cause I love what you just said,
Yeah.
and I want to share two clear examples of like things that came to my head. So sometimes it's unfair. Like I'll ask you a question I'm thinking about the answer for. So, but your response is exactly right. Like you need to analyze the flow. You should be able to see it if you have a visual pipeline where you can see where's my attrition across my sales cycles. You'll see dips, right? You'll be like, ooh, we dropped there. Like why after I deliver the FDD in a franchise development process do I see such a candidate drop off there? And it's even better if you can get normative data and be like, well, everybody else when they get to this milestone, they have about a 40% conversion step, or conversion. I've got a 20% conversion. That's even better, but you usually don't get that unless you're in a multi-brand platform company. So when you see those dips, you need to ask the question that Hassan just posed, which is, how do I leverage technology? How do I leverage humans to make this work better? But two examples that came to my mind were FDD delivery, right? Candidates, when they get an FDD, the best brands I work with, the humans actually do a walkthrough. Before they send it off to them and say, here, sign this item 23, they do an FDD walkthrough and kind of educate them about what they're looking at and highlight key sections they should focus on and highlight things that are, I mean, the FDD, I think it was Patty Rother who was on here, and she said the FDD should be your best sales tool. I think it was her. If not, she'd probably say it or back me up anyway. But should have a purpose-built agent or a bot, like a conversational bot that can answer the questions that they're going to have. Like, hey, here it is. I'm just going to walk you through. Here's a link. Like, engage here. You can text here. You can text me, whatever, and our agent will help answer your questions about the FTD. Don't feel like there are any dumb questions, right? And then you let them have a conversation. What people have found, especially in this context, is that people are more likely to ask questions to a bot about something complex like that than to a human because they don't want to erode their own credibility and their own trust back to the brand. And so there's an area where I think deep in the funnel, you could create a tool. It's that hard. You could spin that up on Chat GPT. I've built them in 5 minutes. Not hard. Um, but that'd be or build it into the Lumin.ai model so it knows how to engage when a question comes out about an item 19 or an item 3 or an item 7. The other area, though, is humans. And you can actually automate processes that remind the humans to do important things. In our system, we'd automate a contact reminder with a specific note to call the consumer at this time about this thing, about the FTD, and make sure they don't have any questions or whatever, right? Like, so you can use technology to then cue the humans so the humans don't forget, because that's what humans are awesome at, right? The humans don't forget to take those important milestone steps that also create human to human interactions and build more trust. And I'm curious, like, because I'm just kind of riffing on what you said and just expanding that a little bit.
Yeah.
How else would you build this concept so people could consider?
So, so absolutely. So before I go about how else, because there's so many ideas that come to mind based on experience.
Hmm.
But one thing I would add to a slightly different angle at what you said, a couple of things you said that, a reminder for a person to do this or a task for, I think this has to be embedded in the sales process.
Hmm.
It's not just a task because then it will be taken care of as a task. Then the result would be, you know what I mean? So I think it should be embedded in the process that here is an average time that this thing gets from step A to step B.
Hmm.
Everything is fine. If it goes above average, these are the three things I should do as
Hmm.
part of the process. And that could be engaging a bot, engaging through email, doing something else because now they're taking above average time. Something may not be right. Let's not assume. Let's just go in and clarify, right? Answer questions if any, or ask them if there's any questions. So that's one thing. But then over and above that, I think you said it, you covered it all well that, you know what? A machine can answer a question. A machine can do certain things all the time, 24/7. At the same time, the human trust is still there because at the end of the day, it's like, hey, you want to talk to me? I'm here, but any questions you can ask here, or I'm here. So make it flexible, basically. That's the point. Yeah,
Yeah, allow humans to be in the loop. And
absolutely.
frankly, yeah, it's a lot of salespeople would prefer that, except when they can't because they don't have time. Um, yeah, I love that. Hassan, so this isn't the sexiest part of the conversation, but you brought it up before, so I want to circle back to it. AI and automation tools are really limited in their effectiveness by their connectivity to the system of record, generally a CRM in this case. Can you expound on that? Like, why did you say that before? You didn't say it in those words, but that was kind of the point. And then how do people make sure that whatever they've got in their tech stack or whatever they're trying to build, that those tools kind of have a cohesive they tie together properly to enhance even the salesperson experience in the tools, right? They shouldn't deter from that or detract from that. So can you expound on that a little bit? Because you had some good insights I don't think we dove into yet on that.
Yeah, so I think my insights are based on both my experience and my personal, we all live and breathe in this space where there's a system of record, which is for many of us the center of the universe.
Hmm.
It can be, as I said earlier, can be used as a graveyard, just dump everything, and then we'll figure it out later what we do with that. That's what happened to SharePoint. That's what happened to some of the other things. And then thanks to AI, we started finding out that, oh, 90% was 80% was duplicates and it was junk and we couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
But going back to the point here, I think having a well organized, well structured system of record and CRM is not just helpful, but it is essential. I think that's the foundation.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
all the tools should talk. But again, I'll give you our example, right? When we start these conversations, we get the information from CRM on who are we talking to,
Mhm.
why are we talking to them, who are we talking on behalf of, in multiple brands or a lead owner or whoever, what are we talking about? We have to tailor that conversation. All that is coming through CRM.
Mhm.
Should we continue on talking or stop? How do we know? Through CRM. Or if a human got in touch with them and we found out through CRM that they did, we stop talking, right? If we do something which results in, as an example, an appointment scheduled or a question answered or they're asking for money, how do we inform them? Through CRM, right? So
Yeah.
again, this is one example, but I think having a strong foundation in the shape of a system of record which is aligned with the goals and the process and is actually designed for the users, I think that's foundational. Before you start investing in other sales tools, I'm not saying don't buy our technology, but before you do that, get your house right. Fix your foundation, and then we're humans, right? We jump onto things. AI is happening. I'm going to buy these 5 new tools next month, and guess what? Your foundation's weak.
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah.
expect the results. And guess who are you going to blame? You are going to blame all those tools that you invested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And without realizing that this was not the right time, you should have invested in setting the foundation first. So, and
Mhm.
listen again, this is coming from a personal experience. Been there, made
Mhm.
those mistakes, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm shooting. Yeah,
No, I'm with you. The foundation is the process. It's the definition. It's the documentation. It's all the hard work that nobody really wants to do. They all want to jump right into the cool stuff and the sexy stuff. And it's almost like I call it the AI Me Too movement right now. Like everybody's like, oh, we got AI, we got AI. And I think a lot of people, like franchise development teams, are nervous because they want to be able to explain to candidates that we use AI with our pizza business. What? Like, so there's got to be a foundation that helps that makes the process solid first, and that process is what then, like you're saying, it informs the AI. And also back to your point about the integration, like the best integrations that we experience, right? Like with guys like you, with our technology, or when the AI informs the CRM, the agents, the humans, actually the human agents, they can do things, and that informs the AI. And so the AI is constantly, and the humans are constantly totally coordinated around what's happening. And when humans do things, the AI knows to back off. When the AI is doing something, the humans don't have to even worry about it. They know, oh, it's got it. I don't have to worry about that process. One less thing to focus on. I'm going to get into higher level functions and help move these candidates further down the funnel that are already in my funnel. So I think that what you're saying is foundational, but you cannot coordinate that dance unless you know the dance moves. You have to document them. You have to have it all laid out. Foundationally, what is our sales flow? What are our milestones? What if this, then what? Like all those considerations, and then you're in a position where you can beautifully integrate an AI or some automations into your platform with triggers or whatever. That's when you're ready. But a lot of brands haven't had the time or expertise to build that. And I know you've run into situations like that, as have I, where we've tried to help automate things, and broken processes plus automation equal problems at scale, not solutions.
agreed, agreed.
Yeah. Ahson, you are deep in this industry. You got lots of expertise. Um, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, because like I love what he said, I'd love to pick his brain. What's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn,
Okay.
talk to Dave, or Ahson.Kazi at Lumin.ai. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Happy to
Thank you.
help. I mean, it doesn't have to be AI related. Like I said, I'm a student. We have all learned the hard way. But if anybody wants to pick my brain on any related topic, happy to share what I know based on my limited knowledge.
Yeah, it was one reason why I wanted you on the show, because I know you're willing to have those conversations even if it doesn't transact, right? You're just one of those guys. Guys, great resource here. Hassan, thanks for joining us on the show. Killer content, some really great ideas, building strong foundations first before we automate, trying to balance the way that we integrate AI into the human flow. But ultimately, the gold standard here is, can we use technology to enhance the human experience for the candidate journey so that they're gonna build trust with the brand and with the people. And AI can do that. if you map it out properly, you know the dance steps. So plan it first, build the foundation, then you're ready to automate. Ahson, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.